Unfortunately, Moose is about to hear the big bad W word that he's never heard before, which is weaning. So obviously here at Running Springs, I love sharing the cute babies, all of the sweet moments and the good things. But we also have to share the educational aspect of what it looks like running a breeding program. Also, it's just so funny looking at them next to each other. What are you doing now? Are you being a bad little baby? Do you want outside? So Moose is my oldest baby of the year, and I wanted to use his circumstances as a little bit of a moment to share about decision making per horse. So just like when you send a horse off to training, not all horses are going to need the exact same method, the exact same timeline. Like everybody is going to need a tailor-made system for them because every horse is going to mature differently. Every horse is going to have different mentalities, all of those things. And so same thing goes as a breeder for raising foals. Also, Moose is not a weaver. For everyone freaking out in the last video, he's sitting here rubbing his chest the entire time. Y'all are so weird. Anyway, when you're raising foals, especially if you're breeding in like a wide range of types, so like I have my little tiny Western babies and then I have my big old Hunseat babies, so they're gonna grow way differently. So you can't just look at every single baby and be like, okay, you all get this amount of food and you're all gonna be weaned at this exact date and you have to do that. You have to look at each baby for what's best for them, physically, mentally, for the long haul, right? Like you want to give them the best opportunities, not just mentally by like leaving them with their mom long enough or being out in a pasture with babies, but you have to look at their physical needs as well. So do I prefer to leave my babies with their moms until they're 6 months old? Yes, absolutely. I think that's usually best case scenario. But I'll use Moose as an example. We are gonna wean him this weekend. I wean all of my babies based on the Farmer's Almanac, so it's just kind of perfect timing. This weekend is when I'll be weaning Moose, Bobby. Bobby's gonna be his friend that he gets weaned with, and then Glenn, the mini foal as well. So for Moose specifically, over the past couple of days, he came in from the pasture looking a little stiff in his hind legs. And so the vet was already coming out for other reasons, and I just had him looked over. I was like, listen, he looked a little stiff. Usually if a baby comes in stiff or like limping, we assess and then sometimes we give it a day because you never know if they just went out and played too hard, got kicked, yada, yada, yada. Sometimes honestly, most of the time it remedies itself. And so I don't just call the vet immediately unless we think it needs that. So I looked at him yesterday and was like, okay, well, if he's still kind of looking ouchy by tomorrow, we'll go ahead and call the vet. And the vet was already coming out for Coco. And so we took him out, we looked at him in the arena. He didn't look near as stiff, but he still looked a little stiff. And so we made the call to take x-rays. I notified his owners. When my babies are with me, I still treat them as if they were mine. So I was like, hey, I really think we should take radiographs just to make sure, even though we took radiographs when they bought him, if something has changed, then we have something to go off of. And if he needs early intervention in some way, like we can do it. I tend to go the more paranoid route, but it saves you in the long run sometimes. And what we found is something that's super common in big babies, which is he gets a little bit inflamed in that growth plate. And so it was giving him basically growing pains, but a way to help with that is to cut back on feed, which we did. We took him off of his full grain. And then if they are old enough and we think they're mature enough, my vet suggested that we wean him. And at this point, he's over 4 months old. It's a little bit earlier than I usually like. It's not unheard of. I've had to do it with foals. Honestly, like one a year tends to need weaned a little bit early. So for the health of Moose physically and for him emotionally, there was another baby that's also really large and could be weaned, and her owners are also good with it. So we are gonna wean Moose and Bobby together to ensure that he keeps growing in the best way possible. So that is what we're doing this weekend. I wanted to just give a little bit of a backstory as to how we make those decisions. Everything is kind of backed up by a vet. I'm so lucky that I have a vet hospital with multiple different vets and multiple different specialists, and so that I can pick their brains. And so that's the plan that we came up with Moose, and his owners are like, yep, that sounds great. And so then he will most likely be going home either at the end of June or early July. Now, I already know you're gonna ask why we're not doing that with Woody, because Woody is around the same age. He could also easily be weaned. Well, thank goodness we have a really good feed plan going with Indy, so his mama is not being dragged down, which neither is Raven really. And I think Woody's benefiting so much from going outside with other babies that I would hate to pull him from that too early. And with Moose and Bobby leaving at the end of the month, it would leave Woody by himself, waiting on the other babies to be weaned. So if possible, I'm leaving him with his mom. Oh my gosh, look at this weaver. Look, he's totally weaving. Y'all, give me a freaking break. The comments on the last video were insane. He's literally scratching himself this entire time. Y'all chill. Anyway, that's how we made the decision for Mr. Moose. I think it's going to bode really well for him, and I am so excited to see him and Bobby hopefully make a really cute little friendship for the next few weeks. Let me know if you have any questions. Can you give them a nice boop? Thank you.